Okay, it's 9 p.m. on the East Coast, back in our late spot, and I'm feeling good about that. I'm Chris with Cycle Source Magazine, Grease and Gears, and this is another episode of Shop Talk.
And I'm Ken, here in Colorado, back from my trip. I'm like halfway through editing a video that I was planning on showing. Maybe we'll have it for next week.
Well, dude, you had a hell of a trip. I mean, the credit goes out to you just for making it for the show tonight, because you were like a road warrior this week.
That was fun. I put 40 hours on that bike.
Right on.
That's like a full-time job, right? 2,000 miles. So there was a lot of twisties up the PCH, a lot of stopping. Good times though, for sure.
That's one of our
really
favorite
fun
places to ride too, boy.
Well, and it's closed. So we ended up taking, I don't know if you want to get into the particulars of it, but we ended up taking the only road that kind of connects the inland to the PCH just south of Big Sur. It's called Nacimiento Ferguson. You ever been on that road?
We've been the whole PCH, and I mean even like up into the Lost Coast and all kind of stuff.
This is like, yeah, you would know if you did it. Trust me. Yeah. It was great. If there wasn't anybody else on the road, it would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I feel when I go to the Dragon.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'm sure it's the same thing, but we had some great riding. There were a lot of times where we just had open highway right in front of us, nobody there, so it was fun. And I got to ride with some of my favorite people too. Got to ride with Yaffe for a little bit.
Oh, right on.
And his buddy Sean. So that was fun. Got to ride with Bryan Carroll. Just a lot of good people. Brian Clock was there with Vanessa and Carly, so that was cool. There's some great people and some new people too. So yeah, it was really fun.
You mentioned Bryan Carroll, and he's going to be our guest in the second half hour today. And I'm not sure.
I hope so. He just texted me. Hold on. Let me see what he says.
This would be true shop talk right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Hold on a second. I'm trying to post. We are live. I'm trying to repost our. Where's my assistant? What are we doing?
Yeah, I don't know who you're trying to fool with that one.
Yeah, exactly.
So listen, while you check in on that real quick, let me take over for just 1 second, and I'll throw some neat stuff that we're working on. So you guys have been following us doing the T-Tracker build, and I have a little out of the box video thing that I want to share, especially because I know how Mark Velasquez loves these. Mark, this one's just for you. But,
is it like an unboxing video?
It is, dude. It is.
Yeah.
So check this out. This was this week in the shop.
Hey man, this is Chris, Cycle Source Magazine, Grease and Gears Garage. We're gonna do a real quick out of the box segment here. First up, I want to thank the guys at Frost Cycle Shack. Just got in for our Something Wicked This Way Comes build. Got in a new set of shovel head rockers. You can see here they're filled. They came fast, good price, look fantastic. Thank you guys for hooking us up so fast on that. Next up, for the Twisted T Tracker, I'm so excited to be opening this box that has our Voodoo Vintage front end in it. I know these out of the box segments kill Mark Velasquez, but
God, look, I even bust his balls in the video.
The important thing to show here is how these things are packaged. A lot of care goes into some of these, not so much in the other ones. So doing it out of the box gives you guys an idea of what you're going to get when you order some of these parts. I'm so fired up to get this front end on this bike. As you guys know, anybody that's been watching this stuff progress, we have a mock-up front end on it now that was 2 inches shorter. It came off of my Bored to Death build.
Right.
So we're really
I'm slamming this shit around.
What this thing is going to be like once it has the full-size front end on it.
It's very gentle.
So there you have it, main fork, ready to go.
Who's cutting the lawn?
Amelia's home from college. I put her straight on the tractor.
Front end together. The leaf pack, the rockers, everything looks good. Strip this thing down real quick, get it off to the powder coater, and in a couple days you guys can see us putting this together on the T-Tracker. So stay tuned. I'm Chris, Cycle Source Magazine, Grease and Gears Garage. Next stop, Ohio Bike Week. Stick around.
So here's the amazing thing about that. I shot that video.
Dude, were you Did you have a hammer in your hand,
no.
like just banging on
I
shit?
had the front end on top of my my lift table. But here's what's amazing about that. Okay, I shot that video yesterday, or day before maybe. I shot the video. In any event, I talk about how I'm just pulling it out of the box and I'm going to take that thing to powder coat. It sits literally right now up on my workbench, back from my powder coater, completely sanded down and powder coated. That's how badass, dude. The guys that I have here, I grew up with them. You know, we went to school and everything together, and I have the best powder coater in the world.
So if they're so great, why are you keeping their name a secret?
Yeah. Are they a secret?
Come on now.
It's a secret.
It's Dlubeck's powder coating.
Yeah, Dlubeck powder coating. You can see they're adding the magazine, but I mean, you know, it's not even just like a shameless plug. Like, we're friends from forever. They do tons of industrial work, so the little bit of motorcycle stuff that I take there matters like not at all.
But they love to do it.
Yeah.
They do a great job, and they're super fast.
Yep.
That's amazing. That's crazy because, I mean, I've waited on powder coating for months.
Oh.
Literally, he did. He dropped it off yesterday morning, picked it up today.
And not just that. I mean, you know, obviously working with Twisted Tea, there's specific like PMS color codes for a lot of stuff. Like when we do,
I was going to ask, yeah.
Yeah. So I take the PMS color codes in, and they order the powder ahead of time to perfectly match what we're doing. They're just so badass. It's great to find somebody to work with like that. So I just want to give them some props.
That's great. That's great. And so that's for the Twisted Tea bike?
Yeah, the T-Tracker.
So I'm so confused. You have so many bike builds going on. So what is Something Wicked This Way Comes? What's that?
That's my build for Lichter's Passion built.
Okay.
So it's going to be a truly old school 70s long ass chopper, sugar bear front end, I hope. You know, choppers like I dig to build. So
nice.
Yep.
Nice. I was looking at online, actually. I was looking at a publication today. I'm not going to say what it was, but the first 4 bikes in that magazine all looked identical.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, they were all just like narrow bars, narrow front ends, old school guys with beards. It was bizarre. It was just, I was like, that bike looks a lot like that other bike. And is it? Yeah. And then they had a bagger and then like a tracker kind of bike in there, but yeah, it was interesting. I was just thinking back as to like the bikes that you have in your magazine and how varied they are and how much attention you put into that.
Well,
and I'm not trying to stroke you here, but I mean,
that's seriously. I mean, you gotta take some credit for that. All of our contributors across the country, because really we set out to do that stuff on purpose, because I know the motorcycle community is so varied and there's so many different tastes and styles and everything. And the reason we call it Cycle Source instead of Evil Choppers of Death from the very beginning is the fact that we don't want it to be Evil Choppers of Death. You know, we want a little bit of everything.
We don't?
No. I personally do, but I know it's not good for everybody else.
Model.
Oh no. Yeah. It'd be fun.
You could have like a funeral home in there. Oh. What else? Like some weird
stripper
like goth
bars.
ad or something.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
But
ball gag ads, that sort of stuff. No, it just got weird.
Right.
Weird.
When you said ball gag, it was like.
Yeah. Sorry.
So Heather is here with us with
Hi, guys.
monitoring Facebook Live tonight. What do you have anything from Facebook?
Let's see. Tom Kiefer is in the house from Franklin Church Choppers.
And Tom's going to be going on about the mini bikes.
We've got a request for you. Yeah, we've got a request for you. Can you dig out some mini bikes for us?
Yeah, Tom, we need mini bikes.
We need mini bikes. So yeah, just send Chris the bill.
Nice. I got some stuff. I got some stuff lined up. You wait and see.
Do you?
Yeah,
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm psyched.
Roadside Marty is in the house.
Right on Roadside.
John Widner is in the house. Jamie Roberts is in the house. Jamie Robertson. Let's see. Where's he saying? I lost it. He's from Houston. Hello from Houston, Missouri.
The other Houston.
The other Houston.
Missouri.
Rich Petoniak from Petoniak Cycles is joining us
Right
tonight.
Hey, Rich, I'm going to be calling you, too. We got Grease and Gears coming to Laconia.
Yes.
So
We've already signed you up. Don't.
Wow, there's the okay.
Just so you know.
So hey, big announcement, guys.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Let's just bury the lead on that one.
Oh,
Way to go.
No, that's a
I
big.
blew it.
No, that is it's a huge announcement. I'm so psyched for you guys. I'm not going to be there, but I'm psyched that you guys are going to be set up. Grease and Gears Garage, Cycle Source Bike Show,
Yeah, man.
bike games and rodeo, all at the Roadhouse.
And this is like Heather's coronation for a homecoming, you know. We're back in the Weirs, you know,
Yeah.
right across the street from the big sign. We're going to be working with Jack Shit for the first time in Laconia in a really long time, which is
Yeah,
awesome.
that's really exciting. I actually am looking forward to it, and it is my stomping ground. I do hold Laconia very near and dear to my heart, so I'm glad we get to go back for the week. We're going to be doing. Actually, this will be our first time working at the Roadhouse, which for all you old timers is still called the Pound,
The
aka
Lobster Pound.
aka the
Yeah.
Lobster
Lobster
Pound.
Pound.
It will forever be the Lobster Pound.
Lobster Pound.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Rich. It's just what it is.
I don't know. Have you eaten at that place?
It is
though?
Pharaoh's-
Definitely not.
Dude.
It's actually-
definitely not the Lobster Pound.
It's the Laconia Roadhouse. They have a restaurant there. It's called Pharaoh's Italian Grill. It's fantastic. Rich Ray
Yeah.
and his family do an outstanding job.
The steak is badass, and take that from a fat kid. You always
No,
trust
you're
a
thinking
fat
of
kid.
the other place, honey. I think.
No,
At
we
Pharaoh's?
had.
Oh, we did have
we had
steak there. I'm
man,
sorry.
and it was kicking.
But anyway, so we're going to be there all week doing Grease and Gears Garage, bike show, bike games. I hope all my people from back there come visit me.
I bet they will. All you New Hampshire Chappajackies.
I hope so. I hope so.
Chapajackies. So
Yeah.
Heather's going to be watching the stream from Facebook Live throughout the show. If you have any questions, you have anything to input, be it intelligible or otherwise, you're welcome
So
to.
Brian's wondering if we can do him in 5-10 minutes.
Sure.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Is that all right? Okay.
Yeah, we got a couple minutes for news, right?
Yeah.
Couple
for sure.
minutes. I'm not sure where to start. You want to call the ball, or
Can I call it? I want to
Yeah,
start
do
with
it.
the one, just because I think it's a great thing. Harley Davidson's offering the riding classes to veterans, first responders, and their spouses for $99. Usually, I think it's around $300 to take that class. And
Is it?
yeah, it is.
Yeah, and it's actually first responders, U.S. military, and spouses.
That's
learn
cool.
to ride for $99.
Yep. So
Nice.
you can, there's a link up. I think it'll be on our blog if it's not already. But just go to harleydavidson.com and learn to ride, and you all can get signed up for that. I love that it's their little way of giving back, and getting people on two wheels. I think I actually might buy that for Zachary
Well,
for
You know-
Father's Day.
Yeah, that's a great idea. You know what's interesting too is that is like their big push right now, because when we went to them for we were trying to get some swag for Why We Ride, they were like, "Hey, can we get you some rider coupons?
Yeah.
To go learn how to
Well,
ride." I'm like, "Heck yeah!" I'm
you
like,
know,
that's
man,
great.
they made the assertion way early on. I mean, all the way back at the Softail launch, even before the AIM Expo, they made the assertion that they want to pick up, what was the number, 2 million riders over the next 10 years.
It's a lot.
So there's going to be a lot of outreach, but I have to say, and I've talked to some people from Harley about this, there's still some outreach opportunities, and one I found in particular in my own hometown, and I'm going to shamelessly put this out there now, even though I secretly took it to someone at Harley Davidson. So just recently we were invited to build a bike for Progressive Insurance that we talked about last week, and we were looking for a donor bike. So I put calls out and I was like, hey man, look, I'm looking for a cheap Sportster, something I can grab, because we're not going to use a lot of the stuff that's on it. I don't need anything fantastic. Just give me a base model bike.
Yeah.
And prices start coming in from different places. Well, one of my local Harley dealers, Steel City Harley Davidson, hooked me up with a 1997 Sportster 1200. Ken, I swear to you, God, the only thing that looks different about when it came off of the showroom floor is it looks like somebody put every piece of chrome on it that they could buy. Someone traded this bike in, and I got it for $900. They just turned it over to me for what they paid in the trade jacket. You know what I mean? So here's the thing that I think like there are some, what the hell is it across the country? 2,000 Harley dealers, let's say, across the country, right?
Sure.
I'm not sure about the number, but when I asked this local dealer, hey, these trade-in bikes that you get like this, how often do you get them? And they said, well, anywhere from a dozen to 20 of them a year. And I thought, if Harley Davidson came up with a way to incentivize their dealers to take those trades and say, okay, look, we really want to sell everybody a new bike, but in the name of outreach, we're looking for a few good young men and women that want to get interested in Harley Davidson. And what we're going to do is we're going to take those $900 to $1,500 bikes that we take in on trade, and we're not going to make anything from them. Because most dealers, honestly, they look at that as like a kind of a pain in the ass to deal with. They have to call the local bike guy that, traffics used motorcycles, and they move them out either there or the auction. Like, seriously. Yeah. They're just, they're unwanted inventory, but they could use that, man. They could use that because a 20-something-year-old kid, like, I couldn't afford a $9,000 loan when I was 20-something, but I could damn sure afford $900 to $1,500 in that range to get on a bike to start.
Well, and if you think about it too, I don't think it's just limited to the 20-somethings. I think that our generation, there's a lot of people that are in our generation that are working class, that make, an hourly wage, maybe work for the state, or, they might have great benefits, but they might not make a ton of money, and they can't afford to go spend, 20 grand or 5 grand or whatever for a motorcycle. So I think that I think it's really a wide range of people that you could really get on bikes, and that they would obviously trade up,
well, and see, this is the thing, one of my friends that's really strong in the aftermarket the other day said, the bitch about this, he said, is that's going to do, that's going to do nothing for the aftermarket. And I said, well, it is because it's making an investment in additional riders for all of us. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Everybody modifies their bike. Right. Come on. It doesn't matter.
But it's going to take a company like Harley Davidson to get behind something like this because of those resources, because people are showing up that have moved up the food chain as far as their personal economies go, and they're trading those bikes in, and because the dealers don't have them as a profit center and are willing to move them out like that. Yeah, man. I mean, there it is. There's real outreach, and goodwill.
And I'm sure that their reasoning behind it is like, oh, we don't even service those bikes anymore. Like, we can't do blah, blah, blah. There's probably a ton of that stuff. I mean, my local Harley dealer doesn't do anything with Evos at all.
No, neither does mine. And I mean, that's not even the point. I'm not even going to get into that because I believe in the same regard. The local Harley Davidson dealer should have a wall full of parts for Evo Sportsters and Evo stuff. Yeah, because it is part of outreach. You can want to add new riders all day long, and you can have all kind of programs devised for it, but nothing is gonna add a new younger demographic to this thing quicker than a cheap motorcycle. It's just agreed. And a cheap good motorcycle. I mean, I'm sure there's guys out there that are going to want to stand in line and slam the Sportster, but I got to tell you something. I build bike after bike with Sportsters, and I build big twins too, but Sportsters are badass. And especially like a good like late 90s, early 2000s Sportster, you can't beat those things. They are bulletproof forever. You can do, throw them around, do anything you want to them. Like it's a great platform, man.
Yep, agreed. Yeah, and an easy one to get, easy one to find.
And Ken mentioned last week when we were talking, he had mentioned a great outreach would be for them to start going into some schools and talking to some of the upperclassmen. I think that's an outstanding idea, and what a great platform to use some of these bikes for.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure.
You know?
I mean, go and,
I really do.
Yep.
Right on. So
we got to save the motorcycle industry, Chris, you and me, and Heather.
Well, and what I told my buddy that was that's involved in the motorcycle aftermarket. I said, it's going to take a company like Harley Davidson to do this, because obviously the aftermarket shops aren't going to, and there's no fault in that. If I was running an aftermarket shop with a shingle, proper shingle, paying insurance and bills and everything else, if I got that $900 Sportster, I'm going to throw $1,000 on it just so I can make sure I make the rent next month. You know what I mean? Before I sell it. And I mean, the average person's gonna put that up for fair market value. And I mean, that's the way the world works here in capitalist United States of America, and that's great. But I'm just talking about there's a small opportunity that could be had to use that to leverage it for real outreach, and it would do us all very well.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'd love to get our hands on some of the gift certificates for the rider course as well. Those are great prizes.
Yeah.
And actually, like, even for something like when we do our bike games and you do the weenie bike contest, I'll give them to all the biters.
So what are you going to tell them?
You know what I
Is that
mean?
what they're called?
Next year you don't have to be a biter. You can ride your own.
Right, exactly.
You can put him on the back, make him bite it.
Okay, so this got so far away from the original news item, it's ridiculous.
It's not that far. Come on.
Okay,
First
so
responders.
quick, let's go to Carrie Hart teaming up with Indian Motorcycles.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that was so that's just a natural growth, right? From his good ride that he's done several different places, Sturgis, Laughlin, all over the place. So it makes sense that he would take it abroad, but I think it's great that he's taking it over for the troops. I thought for sure when I read it, I thought for sure it was going to be for that Waves and Water event or whatever.
Wheels and Waves, yeah.
Yeah.
Wheels and Waves or whatever it's called. And I was like, oh man, that's like preaching to the choir, right? I mean,
this, I have to say right off the bat, is a much more genuine cause than using burnout rubber for tattoo ink. This is better. What, too soon?
That's a dig. A little bit, maybe.
I need to change the subject for a quick second because Ken mentioned it. Wheels and Waves. Doug Wothke is going over there as our journalist for that event. They sent me a press packet in French. If anybody can translate this press packet for me, please DM me.
You ugly American. I've got a guy.
I will send it to you.
Yeah, well, you do too.
He's
going to have a lot of time here. Yeah, after the 19th.
You're telling me that I was throwing it. Wow. So
torch it.
Are we going there now?
I think
you didn't even put it in the news.
Oh, he did.
Oh yeah, I did. Are you kidding
Okay.
me? Yeah. So we got to get to our guests, so we'll hold off on that because that's going to take.
Let me.
That's going to take a little bit.
He said he's good to go. So.
Okay, so
for anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, Cyril Hughes is going to retire May 19th. His keyboard.
We'll talk about it more after our guest.
Sure. It'll be worth talking.
In the meantime, hey Jack Shit and Ken.
He's on.
Yep.
Yeah, Tom Kiefer says you're on fire tonight.
That's what happens when you go the late time slot. You get guys like Jack Shit, because there's no way at 11 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast Jack Shit is going to be up to participate.
That's 8 o'clock his time. He's just getting to bed.
You got anything more, kid?
Let's see, Jack Shit. Gina Woods is in the house.
Right on, Gina.
No, I think we're caught up.
Okay.
From what I can see, anyway.
I'm done with you. All right, let's see.
So I will give Bryan a proper introduction when he gets on.
Okay.
So yeah, we can do that. I think it's fun.
All right, let's see if we can get him. Let's roll the dice, Ken.
Use your good radio voice, Ken.
Hey, Bryan, this is Chris and Ken. You're on the air with ShopTalk. How you doing?
Hello?
Bryan, do we got you there?
You do now.
Okay, good.
All right.
There we
go. How are you?
Sorry, I just bought a new truck here and all this technology. I can't figure it out. So
yeah, that's funny coming from what you do. little bit of
Oh no, if
technology
it's a
involved.
camera or if it's audio video, I got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Nice.
so I
So
can
I
tune
wanted-
the hell out of an engine to make it go, but this computer shit, I don't know. Anyway.
So I wanted to give a proper introduction to you while you're on with us.
Great.
For the people that don't know, Bryan is the producer of Wide, and maybe he would qualify himself as the co-producer of Why We Ride, and which was a motorcycle documentary that came out several years ago. And now he is the founder of the motivational events, one of which is called Why We Ride to the Quail, which he does every year for the Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation. But in addition to that, if you go to his IMDb page, that's actually how he makes a living. And you can see some of the movies that he's worked on, like Collateral, Titanic,
Right
Die
on.
Hard, Night Shift, let's see, Why We Ride, Public Enemies, Skid Row, Red Line, Miami Vice. Yeah, list goes on. Ali, Coyote Ugly. Yeah. So
why is he hanging out with you?
I have no idea. So, and what are you working on right now? You're doing something.
Right
You're
now
driving
we're-
across town.
Yeah, right now we're finishing up Robin Hood Origins. It's a show for Lionsgate with Taryn from the Kingsmen. So finishing that up
Oh,
real
no
quick.
kidding.
We've been on this for about a year and a half. Little different Robin Hood than what you've seen in the past. It's kind of a new meets old. It's anyway. It's I think the trailer just came out yesterday, but it'll be out. We come out on Thanksgiving Day with one.
Nice.
Awesome. And I know that this time of year
Yeah.
is crazy busy for you, right?
It's summer releases, man. Yeah, it's everything right now geared towards, most of our big movies, blockbusters come out during the summer. It starts as early as, really next week, and then they'll be hitting all the way through until October. So it's the busiest part. Now it goes all the way till November because Thanksgiving is such a big date now, and then everything switches to the Academy pictures after that. So,
Right on.
Well, as much as we like film, we didn't actually have you on to talk about that. we had you on to talk about motorcycles.
Hey, but I'm okay with talking about that. That's cool.
Yeah. When did you
that's
start
great.
riding, Bryan?
Well, it's funny. I think I sent you a little video. The first time I ever got on a motorcycle, I don't even remember it. It was when I was 3. My dad my dad bought a 1968 Yamaha DT1, which was the first enduro. And I guess he told me the story that every day when he'd come home, he was in the Army, so he wasn't home a lot. But when he would come home every day, I'd beg for him to give me a ride, and we'd put me on the tank, lock my knees in, and then we'd run up to the hills up there in Bountiful, Utah, and pick wildflowers for my mom. So that was, I don't remember it, but I have that video that he sent me the other day, and I shared it with you. And
we just played it. Oh.
yeah, and all I remember, my dad's all I remember is I was just smiling the whole time. That's all I wanted to do is just be on that thing. So, and then,
Nice.
it's funny because I remember like the date I started riding motorcycles, they were just always part of the family and part of the camping. I mean, all you saw where I grew up was trucks with campers with a motorcycle, either a Trail 70 or Trail 90 or something on the front of it. And it was just kind of an all package. So no matter where we were, we had those. And then me and my brother had it was called a Bonanza, little mini bike that we used to terrorize the backyard with until it started snowing and we tried to mount a ski on it, but it didn't work. But
Dude, do you remember what did they call those things that it was like a motorcycle with skis when we were kids?
it was we called them like banana bikes or something. That's not what they were.
They were scary dangerous. They were so brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal, and they're all metal. They just cut your ankles off, It's like, jeez.
I don't know a
I
single
remember
person that
those.
ever negotiated a hill with one of those and made it.
No.
Yeah,
and
but
it's funny
now they
because
have
you don't see those.
Yeah.
well now they have those snow bikes, and those things look like a blast.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Sure.
So yeah, I've just always kind of been on a bike. I don't know if there was ever a time and that's where I grew up. Even when I moved to California, the very first person I met was my best friend named Mike Davis, and we're unloading the U-Haul, and he rides up on his bicycle, and first thing he was, do you have a motorcycle? And I was like, yeah, I got Kawasaki Hunter. He's like, oh, I got a KX65. It's just kind of like, I don't know. It's just a natural zeitgeist thing that kind of happens on two wheel.
Right.
Nice. So how did Why We Ride come about?
Well, why we ride started is I'm fascinated with this guy named Ed Kretz. Ed Kretz was the first, true racer. He won the very first Daytona when the AMA-C class came out, where any Joe could go race. He was one of those guys that just dominated that, and he won. During his time, he was the guy. And when we were researching him to do an actual feature film on him, we're finding this stuff like where James Dean, he was one of James Dean's heroes. I have this picture of him and James Dean together and all this really cool stuff. So we said, why don't we do a documentary on Ed Kretz? And I went up before we did the feature films, and I went up to meet the late Ed Kretz Jr., who was another AMA, award-winning, amazing racer himself, raced Catalina, all that stuff in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
And I met with him for about 4 hours, and we're sitting there having a beer and going through all this nostalgia, and I'm sitting on Ed Kretz's actual motorcycle, his Indian that he won Daytona with, and about halfway through the conversation, I was like, we weren't really talking about motorcycles, we were talking about family and talking about moments and talking about memories and about sharing those memories, and that's all you got when you get older, and it just all related around the bikes, and I was just kind of like, you know what, I want to, not only do I want to, I'd stopped riding for a little bit, never made a choice. I just got busy and sold my KLR. And at first I was like, not only do I want to start riding again, I'm like, I want to know what this is, and let's be bold and let's make a documentary and just be bold and call it Why We Ride and make it about us and see if there's all these, because we're all telling the same stories, and let's just try to see what we have there. And we were like, and like most things in this business, you got to take a leap of faith and just like, all right, let's scrape some money together and go shoot something, and it took off from there.
Well, let's take 2 seconds to bring everybody up to speed that might not be familiar with this, and actually watch the trailer for a minute, because I want people to know a little taste of the work that you guys did on this.
Oh, great! Thanks.
It's a bombardment of the senses. Everything goes into slow motion.
With passion.
This is the thing that makes me happy.
It becomes part of your life. It gets in your blood.
It's just the best feeling in the world. It's so much fun to ride a motorcycle.
It's a love affair like no other. There's a freedom about it.
Once you try it, if you like it, you'll never leave it.
It's you and your motorcycle. That's it.
Motorcycles literally were bicycles that somebody finally came up with the idea of putting an engine in it.
Of course, if you got an engine in a motorcycle, the next thing is you got to start racing
it. As soon as there was 2 of them.
The greatest riders of all time.
They were badass. They were real men. Some people have it inside. It's a seed. And if you ever put the water on it and you feel the sensation, the seed is sprouted, and it doesn't die till the day you take your last breath.
I was probably 6 years old and I saw a mini bike, and I was hooked.
The first time I rode, I just felt like I could do anything. How do you stop it? How do you stop it?
God, I love her.
Excited to know that I was going to ride my bike the next day, and I still feel that today, every day.
I think it's like trying to learn how to play a violin. It's just hideous, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I know how to ride this thing now.
Motorcycles have put me in touch with wonderful people. As a result of that, I have an elevated idea about how good everybody in the world is.
Motorcycles and family, they just go together.
I totally see myself teaching my kids if I have any, which I do want some.
It's my release, it's my medicine in this crazy world.
I cannot tell you the wonderful feeling of being on that machine.
I ride because there's nothing like it in the world, and I could never imagine not doing it.
Don't be scared. It's fun. I'll cheer you on.
Gives me goosebumps.
Oh, me
that
too.
Was awesome.
And dude, I gotta tell you something. The most amazing thing about your piece is it really for one of the first things that I've seen, was such a high level production. It really captured the metaphysical thing that transcends brands and age demographics and income brackets and everything. You really, really captured it in that.
Well, thank you. That was really a go, and the power of the word "we" was. It's really about we and all of us and that connectivity. It's not. That's one of the reasons why we didn't do lower thirds, using people's names, because it wasn't about Kenny Roberts is as important he is. Well, he's just as important in the movie as Talon, the little dirt bike racer, because we all have the same short story, and that's what this was about. It wasn't about why I ride. It was about why we, this community, this giant of millions of us in the world, ride. So I'm glad you felt that way. Thank you.
Oh, very
well,
cool.
And it's still like, even listening to that, because I can't see it, it still gives me tingles. Like I get the shivers, because it's so cool to be part of something that you articulated so well there. And I think that's why, the event that you put on every year, Why We Ride to the Quail, it's like a natural way to kind of carry that on, but it has the same spirit, because that's really what brings all those people together. It's that same, because there are a lot of people from a whole lot of different walks of life that do a bunch of different stuff and crazy different motorcycles. I mean, from two-stroke Yamahas to, big baggers to, there was just everything in between, but we all had that same passion.
Yeah, no, it's funny because the ride, especially this year, Ken, was really like the movie. It was just, we all had this one common bond, this seed that grew within all of us, and we're all sharing that. But if you really stopped and broke down, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's Paul Yaffe over there. There's Bryan Clock over there. There, you just kind of walk around going like, wow, like these are, but we're all just sitting there, all sharing a tri-tip sandwich. You know what I mean? It was amazing.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So and I have to say too that the route this year was great. Like Cold Springs Tavern was so cool, and just the riding was amazing. I don't know how you do it, Bryan, but you just managed to come up with a great route every year.
This, it's part me and it's part the fires and floods of California that forced us on those routes. So this route this year was one I've been wanting to share with everybody since we started this 4 years ago. The Ferguson Nascimento, because a lot of these routes are fun with the group, but it's really also about saying, hey, now where these are at. Like Ferguson Nascimento, that's something you want to go out with a couple of your buddies on a Tuesday morning and just rock it through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so now
for
you
sure.
see it. Now you go and experience it. But you're also, these routes bring us in very secluded places where it's just us and the bikes and the environment. And there's something so bonding and almost spiritual about being out there for me. So.
Now, tell me a little more about this for both of you guys, because I've noticed over the last few years, Ken's trips to the Quail now have become like my pilgrimages to Bonneville. Like this is he gets fired up. I imagine
I gotta go.
He had his bag packed 2 months at a time, and but tell me the whole premise behind this about what is special about the Why We Ride to the Quail.
Well, when we were filming, and it's interesting you compare it to Bonneville. Bonneville for me is one of those places that the first time you go there, you realize you will be coming back here for the rest of your life. Yep. It is like nowhere else on earth. And, I was born and raised up in Bountiful, Utah. I was only an hour and a half away from Bonneville. I remember going out there and just going like, oh my gosh, this is, I don't know how to explain it. And you can't explain it. So, but where it started, We Ride the film was such a passion thing, and we brought it out there. What we didn't expect was the social media that came out of this. Is we have a Facebook page and a Twitter, and all of a sudden everybody just started joining this Facebook page. I think we're almost at 900,000 people now, and because they found a place to share positive stories and inspiring things, and we're like, wow, this is like a whole new thing that we didn't expect out of this movie. And we knew we wanted to always do something positive with Why We Ride, because it was always about inspire and educating and celebrating motorcycles. And one of the things I found about the Quail is the Quail was such a cool event, and these motorcycles, and the stuff there is so amazing. But Why We Ride is about the journey. So I'm like, well, we got to get to the Quail, so let's do what we love to do, which is let's celebrate the journey. Let's show off Southern California. I think we have some of the greatest riding in the country. And let's create this Why We Ride to the Quell. We knew that we wanted to do something either for veterans or for children. And funny enough, we were doing something and we met up with the Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation. And I was like, well, of course, this is who we're going to do it with. Because Joe, who was my assistant editor on Why We Ride, a few weeks after Why We Ride came out, he was a young kid and he died from a brain tumor. And we were trying to figure out what to do for him. And it was just one of those things like, oh, well, you know, God spoke and this is what we're supposed to be doing. And so we turned it into Why We Ride to the Quell, benefiting the Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation. And it started with, I think there was 16 of us the first year. And then it's basically doubled every year until now. It's something that we just all look so forward to because it's really about the family and the bonding.
Right on.
Yeah, I think I went along on I think I was there for the second year maybe. But it's been fantastic every year that I've gone. It's just been really great. This was the fourth year, and fifth year next year is going to be an even bigger year. Really looking forward to it. Chris, Heather, you got to be there.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, it sounds like something I'd really enjoy, and we should try and get it on our schedule.
Yeah, it's so fun. Just the people that are there.
We really, and we celebrate the history. Like on day one this year, we rode on basically the Wells Fargo wagon trail. So we went up, that's how we ended up at Cold Springs Tavern and through Santa Ynez. And then we go through the wine country and stop at a winery for a break. And so we really see that. And then day two, we took the El Camino Real Road, which was the old mission road that all the missionaries came up from 1650 to 1800. And then that day, the San Antonio mission, which was built in 1755, they opened up for us. So we had a big tacos bar there, and everybody got to be there. So you're getting a little bit of history. You're getting, you're getting to see all these great trails. So we kind of like to mix it all up. So there's a little bit of things for everybody there, because we have people from all over the world come this year. We had people from India this year, from Mexico City. It's really kind of cool to share, this great place that we live in and ride.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, man, I'll tell you what. It's just it's amazing to see what you did with the film, and then to see how you're carrying it on into the physical world of what we do. And man, like your journey is constantly interesting to me. I commend you so much for the work.
Well, thank you. It's the ride is really kids. It's about the Brain Tumor Foundation, and the last couple of years we've been filming it, so we're actually going to be releasing another documentary here in another week, which is just a short, and it is about our Why We Ride to the Quell. So and we're going to use that on like either a GoFundMe page or something. We haven't figured out yet. And every penny, it's so people can donate to the Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation. We're now using our talents to like just try to get as much funds to help with this as possible. So definitely watch for that. You'll get a little bit more taste of what the ride's about.
Right on.
Awesome. Yeah, that's going to be great. I'm excited to see that. The one story that I think is, and I know you've got stuff to do, Bryan, but I think the one story that's great to tell is the story about Sam Moore and her husband, her dad, Steve, and just kind of the genesis of that. And maybe you can just go through that story real quick, and then we can just kind of end on that.
Sure. Well, every year, we have on Friday we arrive and we have all our sponsors get up and speak. We have this big banquet. This year we have like prime rib, and it's a big celebration that we made it. So we have this big banquet, and some of the sponsors get up and speak, and we always have an inspirational speaker. And then we started something a few years ago called this Spirit of the Ride Award, and it was something for somebody who really captures what this ride was about. And it was actually second year when you were there, Ken. And Steve Moore, who I've known for years, an older gentleman, rode up with us the first year. The second year, he was getting all ready to ride, and he had something happened with his ankles, and he had to have a surgery, and he couldn't ride. But he was like, I don't care. I'm going to this ride no matter what. This is what I look forward to every year. And so he rode in the tow truck in the right seat. We have a tow truck that follows us for the bike. So he rode up in that. And then we gave him, and that year we gave him the Spirit of the Ride Award. And as an acceptance speech, he said something that will always stick with me. He says, I will be on this ride until my last breath. And that was just like captured exactly what this was about to him. Here's a guy who every morning he would take a picture of the sunset and post it on Facebook. That was his thing. You know what I mean? And that's how he lived life. So then the third year came, and we were so excited. And a few weeks before we were going on the ride, Steve Moore passed away unexpectedly. So we decided we were going to call this the Steve Moore Spirit of the Ride Award, which we changed. His daughter, Samantha, one of his twin daughters, his dad had, she was like, my dad talks about this ride all the time. I don't ride a motorcycle. I am going on this ride. I don't care what it is. So she actually came last year, rode in the right side of a slingshot. Mark Hamill was riding a slingshot, rode up on a slingshot in order to be there, was so inspired when she came back, took the course, the MS course, got her license, I think it was 3 months ago, and actually rode with us this year on a Bonneville that she bought, a little Bonneville 900, rode up on a motorcycle this year through the whole ride, and then became part of our inspirational speaker panel this year, which was we had a panel for inspiring women in motorcycling, and she was one of the guest speakers on our inspirational speaker panel for women. So it's just amazing.
Right on.
Yeah, just so cool to see us add another rider to the mix, and and not just like a fair weather rider. That was a bunch of miles, and a bunch of she definitely got baptized by fire, but 60 other riders or whatever, and going on some pretty challenging roads and everything. It's so cool to see that happen, and to see that ride change people. It's that powerful.
It is. That's why the ride has doubled every year, is because you don't get it till you come on it, and you see the friendship and the bonding, and when we're doing something great for people and for this disease, but because what happens afterwards too is like Christy and you'll see on Facebook, and now these people that met on this ride, now they're going to Sturgis together, or what I mean. So there's these friendships that are being grown here, and then next year they bring their friends, and it's just this natural kind of, because they want to share it. You want to just share this experience. So, and it's we do, we have a luggage van. It's a very VIP type thing. We try to make everybody as comfortable as possible. But everybody just loves the bonding. They love to just, it's the hardest thing is getting them back on the bikes to get riding again, because they always want to talk.
It's true. Well, even somebody like Yaffe, who's been on a million rides, he rides to Sturgis every year. They have that, they have that planned out every year with all of his hamster buddies, and he does a lot of rides. And he was like, "Man, this is one that I will not forget." And for him to say that means a lot. So
he wrote a letter. I just saw a letter he wrote to my mother, because it's a family event. Like my mom and dad helped coordinate it, drive the vans. My mother and my father-in-law. And it's, the whole family chips in to make this happen, because we have 14 volunteers, 4 support vans. It's a production. And it was amazing. And just like, I'm like, that's so cool. Somebody like him would to take the time to write a thank you letter. It's just amazing.
That's awesome. Right on. That's great to hear. Well, we will let you get back to it, Bryan. We really appreciate you taking the time out to come on Shop Talk. I don't think Chris and Heather have any other questions. Do you? Comments?
Actually, I just wanted to go through for anybody that's looking for more information. The Why We Ride DVD, if you go to their website, whyweridefilm.com, there's all the information about every place that you can buy this thing, download it. I highly suggest, if you have passion for motorcycles in your blood, you pick this thing up and give it a watch, because you're going to find out how deep this goes in the souls of motorcycle riders everywhere. They have a full complement at the very bottom of the contact for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. All you Twitter heads out there, take a break from the president's rant and raving for a minute and check out some motorcycle stuff.
There you go.
There you go.
Right on.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Love being on your program.
All right. Thank you so much, Bryan.
Thanks a lot, dude.
All right.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So now I know every year when you're like chomping at the bit to get out the door and go to the quail, this is what's actually behind it.
So next year we're going.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Well, and it's weird too, because it's like last year I took my wife 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, I took her, or she met me there. And this year it was like a couples ride. Like there were so many, like Matt Swedlin was there from Harley. He was there with his wife. Like it was just this whole, like, you're just like, wow, everybody's here's with their wife. So I would say it would be a great. The other part that's cool for me is, it's so not the way I ride. People, we ride an hour, hour and 10 minutes, and then we stop for 20, 30 minutes, get gas or, mess around, and then, check out whatever historic piece it is, and then go ride for another hour. I'm like, I want to see miles like ticking by,
Right.
So it's so forced, like, and it's not a slow pace by any means, but it's not, aggressive either. And so it's just a great way for me to kind of slow down and like smell the roses.
I was impressed that they have like the luggage vans and stuff. I'm like, you just don't strap everything to the back of your bike and go.
Yeah.
Poor Heather.
No, dude, I love it. No, don't pour Heather me.
Poor
if you
Heather.
said we were leaving tomorrow for another trip like that, I'd be like, okay, let's go. So don't pour Heather me. I'm all for it.
I'm just saying,
got
poor Heather, because
water,
she's never really been on a VIP bike excursion.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's great. And you just meet so many people that are just so different, just from varied backgrounds.
I think it sounds fantastic, and I actually really would like to go. Crystal Hess says she's watched that movie 10 times, and she loves it. And I love that people here, by the way, in Facebook land are having full-on conversations among themselves in our comment stream. They're talking about Sturgis and Sons of Speed, and are you going to be here? Are you going to be there?
Right, that's awesome.
It's great.
Listen, Ken just hipped me to the whole Facebook thing the other day. I was like, I want to learn some more tricks about social media, and he said, well, it's a conversation. And I was like, well, yeah, shit, of
Really,
course
Chris?
it is. Yeah, I know. Listen, I'm supposed to be like, holding the pulse of this thing, and I just totally went right over my head the whole. I was surprised.
We have a bunch of people watching. Miss Judy is here. Jack Shit is still here.
Jack, baby, we was just talking about the pound.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to be up there with you this year, boy.
David Morrill, Crystal Hess. RJ Powell is here.
Nice.
Everybody seems to really dig this later time slot, I gotta say.
Good.
So that's
we're working
good.
on it.
And I say that
We're
because
in.
they're actually saying I like this later time spot.
I think we can do. I think I can safely say that Tuesdays should work.
Tuesdays?
I believe so. Yeah.
This is Wednesday, though.
I know.
Oh, okay.
I know.
I'm just checking.
I know. I know today is Wednesday the 9th.
Right on.
But yeah.
I don't know if he's still here, but Jimmy Frizzell was
Maybe it's
here
Thursday.
earlier.
Oh, what's up?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's Thursday night is what we're looking at. Yeah, Thursday nights.
You need a person, Ken.
Thursday night would be good. He was just calling for his assistant earlier.
Yeah, I know.
Don't
Well, I mean a
him.
real one, not the one like in his head.
Don't encourage him.
Yeah, no kidding. I do need an assistant.
So hey, back.
I'm just waiting for all those those people to do their social media stint with Harley Davidson, and then I'll just get one of them.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, you just got done. You just got whatever, $200 a week. Yeah, I can match that. Right on.
Finished your internship.
Yeah.
Have a bike ready to go.
Yeah.
Oh man, we are full of shit tonight. So on that note,
Tom Kiefer says he likes the later night edginess.
Let's hit the news. Let's hit the news again. So Ken mentioned this right out of the gate before we went to our first guest. Cyril Hughes on his blog announces that I will retire May 15th due to a health issue discovered in 2017. All of his attention can no longer focus 100% on writing blah, blah, blah. So go ahead. Someone else comment on that first.
Well, I mean, which direction are we going with this? Are we going with, it's sad to see somebody from the industry leaving, or are we just going to be honest? Which way are you going to go?
Listen, my heart goes out to him, and I hope whatever health condition he's facing, obviously you're in our prayers for that. But I have to, on behalf of print magazine editors,
be careful.
I have to remind everybody this is the man who, through a really hard time for print magazine people, showed no mercy doing the Deadpool of magazines, and he couldn't wait to report when magazines were going to be going out of business. He was hedging his bets of who was going to be next. So, you know, it's a big old mean universe out there, right? And
well, it's weird. It's weird because, you know, I think that what we have learned over the last, let's say, 2 years is that one medium does not a business make, right?
No, not in this world. Not in this world anymore.
Yeah, and so I think that blog had its time and its place. You know, he says it's still successful. I have no reason not to believe him. But I think that what you guys are doing and what we've kind of manifested over the last several years, Gesundheit.
Sorry, I tried to shut my mic off for that one.
With the multimedia company that you've created is really what people are looking for. People are looking for stuff like this, you know, where they can interact with us, right? But they also like turning through pages, and they also like being able to, you know, go on a blog and see what's going on in the news, and they also like to see stuff live like Grease and Gears, and they also like to go to bike shows, and they also, and so I think that's really the beauty of what you and Heather have created over the last several years, and it's really been, you know, it's been a journey.
Well, and there's a few hot products out there, man. The people are getting the hang of this, and I mean, you know, that's the thing. Poor Cyril, I can actually say this about. Cyril found his way to the blog, and he was a lot like, you know, when Keith from BikerNet first started doing bikernet.com, it was so far ahead of what anyone else was doing. And Cyril was the same way, and I mean in a really big way. Cyril came in at a time where there really wasn't Facebook yet. You know, if you think about it, like, Christ, I think we might have still been on MySpace days back then.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So here he came up with something, and the best things going then were like the Horse had the back talk discussion boards, and, you know, there was just weird shit was starting to get pieced together, and Cyril came up with a place to gather communities together where everybody could have an opinion. He could put a piece of interesting commentary out there, and people could have opinions. They could interact. The only problem is about 10 minutes later, the world came up with Facebook. And, you know, I mean, now everybody does that. Everybody is a citizen journalist. Everybody has an opinion about something. So it's hard to only have that one stream of media and you know, and be
Agreed.
super
You have
competitive.
You're only as good as your visitors, you know, and you know, I think that we can all look at a lot of websites and go, yeah, just steady decline, you know. So it's, you know, I honestly don't think it's dead. I think somebody's going to buy it, or whatever, rent it, something, and try to keep going. Who knows?
And either way, I do want to reiterate what Chris said. You know, we do pray that everything works out for him.
Of course.
You know, no ill will to him as a human being.
Not even a little bit.
So.
But at the same time,
Deadpool.
Remember we had that conversation about being careful that the asses you're kicking today are going to be the ones you have to kiss tomorrow. Don't ever forget it.
Was that in Daytona?
No, it was me and my grandfather, actually, and I passed it on to Cyril one day, but...
Oh, interesting.
No, but seriously, I mean, Cyril, it's really like been a hard relationship with me and him for a long time because I have so much mad respect for him on a philosophical level. You know, things he's done as a builder, even the things marketing. Marketing. Like he gave me one of my greatest marketing lessons ever in my life. Did I tell you this before?
I love this.
No.
So Cyril tells me, he says, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know. And of course he says this in a broken French accent, which I'm not going to do.
And he's speaking like this close to your
this
face.
Close.
Yeah, right like this.
So he says to me, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about marketing. He said, 2 men go to the same street in a city one sunny day, and they're both blind, and they're both holding a sign. At the end of the day, equal amount of time, they both come off the street. One man has way more money than the other man. He said, what was the difference? And I'm like, oh, you know, I don't know what they had printed on the sign. He said, nope, same exact sign. Or no, not same exact sign. I'm sorry. He said, yeah, that's the difference.
Get the goddamn story right.
The difference is the one guy's sign says, please help, I'm blind. The other man's sign says, please help, it's a beautiful sunny day and I can't see it. And that was the guy that had way more money. So tricky.
It's all about the message.
It's a conversation. That's all I can say.
So, well, I'm going to give a few shout outs real quick. We have a new guest, Matt Hurtado, Working Man's Custom is in the house. Thank you for joining us, Matt. We're going to be doing your artist profile, I think, in an upcoming issue. So
Ken, have you seen
excited
this cat's
for
work?
that.
No, what does he do?
He's a leather worker and a motorcycle build. Actually, he was in the top 10 bikes of 2016. He did that Salt Racer. Incredible motorcycle. Super talented guy. Joe Sparrow's in the house. Jeff Quilty. And Brenda and Jack. I'm going to massacre your last name, guys. DeGazio.
Why are you going to massacre that?
And
That's
Jim
not hard.
Watson are all in the house. But yeah, Matt's new here. Joe Sparrow's new, so I'm super glad to see them.
I'm going to throw up some pictures real quick of Matt while we're talking about some of the stuff. So this is the bike. We actually got to feature the Salt Racer in the pages of Cycle Source. But, I mean, the bike is killer. Watching him work on leather is...
Well, and leather and jewelry and his motorcycle. He's just an all-around true craftsman. He really is.
And he was in Leesburg, is that right?
No, that was a different leather craftsman.
He did join us on Greasing Gears at the Dallas IMS.
Yeah, Dallas IMS, he was with us.
Okay, there we go.
Yep.
Just trying to put two and two together.
But
trying to
great guy
connect
too.
the dots.
Great guy too.
I like using my new camera.
You're killing me. So, yeah, that's some of the news.
That is.
Probably.
We got some good. Do we have any good news? Oh, let's do that. Let's do the zero.
The road to zero.
Yeah, road to zero.
Okay. What can we say out of the gate about the road to zero?
It's worth reading. It's on your blog.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's
Cycle Source
worth reading.
blog.
Yeah, I think it's worth reading the MRF's response to it. And correct me if I'm wrong, but what I gleaned from it was that the National Safety Council has a Road to Zero coalition that they manage, and they are trying to get in the next 30 years, 0 fatalities on the roads.
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous.
Impossible.
And there was no input from any sort of motorcycle.
Well, and see what I got from this, and tell me if I'm wrong about that. What the Motorcycle Rider Foundation was complaining about is they actually gave a ton of input and none of it was used. They were mentioned, but none of their input was used.
Yeah.
So
I think it's worth everyone reading and coming up with their own conclusion, and maybe you and I looking into it a little more and then bringing it up next week, because I think it's because what they talk about is, crashing safer versus not
awareness.
crashing at all. Yeah, and having awareness, and and coming up with kind of these safety buzzwords for how they're going to do it. We just talked about, what was it last week, about how is it Ducati that's putting radars in so they can trigger those air suits. But that's just safety. Like, that's not crash mitigation. So I don't know, man.
So again, I'm gonna be the fly in the ointment again, because I read through this report and I read the part where, and it was very fortuitous for Motorcycle Rider Foundation to bring up the fact that they suggested the whole side of things, that you don't have to focus as much on helmet laws, because helmets and any safety equipment are an after the fact of a crash. The crash is happening, then how safe can you make things? And that's absolutely right. But then the few things that they came up with awareness and rider education and rider safety education, that's great too. But let's talk about here's another interesting thing that we may or may not want to get into with the whole of the United States. the road conditions and the standards that they set, and I'm not shitting about this. This is a sore spot for me. The standards that they set across this United States for what is a safe, passable roadway are only considered most and foremost for four-wheel vehicles. There are plenty of roads that we go out every day that are not safe for two-wheel traffic, that have giant freeze lines, grooves in them that'll knock. And this is something I've even testified in courts in motorcycle wrecks where there was a question of responsibility. When you are in the middle of a fulcrum of a turn, when you are negotiating a large bend at speed, if you have something like a frost line that's running perpendicular with your wheel, interrupt your negotiation of that bend, there is way higher chance of a crash than, anything is going to take care of with rider education or safety education or, people's awareness of motorcycles. So there's big issues. There's insurance reform that still needs done that gives us the same rights as people who are in a car. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of things that can happen here, and those are signposts that I want to see on my road to zero. You know?
Well, I think that's a great point. I mean, when I was riding, we obviously encountered a ton of different road conditions. The one that scared the crap out of me the most was somewhere in Utah, I believe. It was hot. It was like almost 90 degrees. It was above 90 degrees. And they had that like rubber patch snake stuff down.
Yep.
Dude. And I was going hot into some corners, and it just, I could feel my wheels just slipping. I'm like, why did they put this on the road?
No, and I'm going to guarantee that there was a study done once upon a time, and they tested that on four-wheel vehicles. I guarantee they didn't test that with two-wheel vehicles in mind.
Well, and what do they do here? They
tar and chip.
I had never seen such a thing.
Have you heard of it? Do they have this in
And
Colorado?
they don't clean up after themselves. It's ridiculous. It's crazy dangerous here.
I've got a broken GoPro, thanks to tar and chip. Yeah.
Well, they don't do that where I'm from. My first year here, I was like, what the hell did they do to the roads? They were fine.
I don't have a broken windshield.
No, wait a minute, because I'm going to bust on Heather for a minute now. They don't do anything like tar and chip. When they find a giant, like, leaving ramp for a double jump in the middle of the road, they put a sign up that says, caution, frost heave. So you're like, okay, stand up on the pegs because here it comes.
Here it comes. Woo! All right.
I remember the first time you're like, what's a heave? I'm like, what do you mean, what's a heave?
Yeah. I like California. Caution, hump ahead.
Yeah. Here they call them humps too. They're like speed hump.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, geez. This devolved quickly. We went from the MRF to speed humps.
So
it is Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month. So
yeah, but if you put an ing on the end, we're really in trouble.
We're 20 minutes late for our next guest. So
oh, geez, I forgot we even had another guest.
Xavier.
Right? Xavier. That's how Kiwi Mike says his name. Xavier. It sounds.
Why can you not say Xavier?
I don't know. But we like it, and we encourage him to do it more. Yeah. Let's see if we can get X on the phone.
Please enjoy this Verizon ring backyard while your party is heating.
Everyone needs a cool ring back like roadside. This is Johnny Cash.
Hello.
Xavier, you're live with Chris and Ken.
What's up, my friend?
Good evening, gentlemen. How are we?
Dude, we're fantastic. We were just talking about
the
sexy ass way that Kiwi Mike says your name.
Yeah.
Xavier.
Xavier. Just like when he says it, watching him say it, I'm like, wow.
You feel a little dirty, right?
I feel a little dirty.
Seriously.
I don't know whether to step away, take a bath, or go, say it again. Say it again.
Say it fast. Say it fast, damn you.
Say it fast.
So Xavier Muriel, my very good brother, also on the staff of Cycle Source Magazine, does a column every month, does tech articles, builds motorcycles, and is one of the invited builders for Michael Lichter's Passion Built at the Buffalo Chip this year. How's that feel, baby? You got the big nod, right?
Dude.
Little pressure?
Just a little pressure, I mean, look, man, the guy, if you're in the know about anything motorcycle related, then you know his work, so he's responsible for some of the most iconic stuff out there, man, stuff that I certainly have grown up seen in multi-magazines and in multiple events, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, man, when he came up to me by Oktoberfest of last year during the Sons of Speed race, and, he's such a sweet, just soft-spoken man. He's like, can I talk to you for a second? I'm like, oh, man, what did I do? I'm like, what? I offended him somehow. I did something, or who knows,
Right.
And he said, I love the way you attack your drums, and I love equally the way you approach your motorcycles with the same fervor and passion and love, and he said, and being able to sit behind you and really watch that at that show in Sturgis was amazing. And he said, I would like to invite you to be a builder for next year's exhibit for my exhibit. And I kind of looked at him, and it's like that scene in the movie where his mouth is moving and all I hear is wah, 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 because in my head I'm automatically going, does he really know what he's doing? I mean, has he had too much to drink?
Dude, like that scene in Fight Club when he goes, this is the scene in the movie where they splice in the reel.
Yes, this is a scene in the movie where I ask myself, did he not wear his hat? Is his head really hot? And does he have the right guy? And he and he said to me, he's like, I would really love for you to be a part of it, because I think you would be such an asset, and you're a great guy, and a lot of the people in the industry, and you're in it, whether or not you know it or want to admit it or whatever. He goes, you're in it. And I didn't even know what to say. I had no idea, Chris, what to say. I literally didn't. I mean,
yes.
At first I was hello. I was like, you know what? In my head, I'm going, okay, don't pee yourself, one, and two, just be cool, act cool. And I said, you know what? And before I could even say anything, he said, think about it, let me know, and we'll go from there. And I was like, whew, I'm off the hook,
I thought for sure you were going to tell me that you reached deep down inside and did your best Vinnie Barbarino.
Oh, I did. I wanted.
That'd be okay.
I wanted to go. Why? Who? Me? Where? Why? What are you crazy? What are you? And I literally walked away from Sons of Speed that day after we finished it up, and I got back to Billy's shop, and apparently Mr. Lichter had already spoken with Mr. Lane.
Yeah.
And so I got hit from both sides, and Billy was like, okay, bro, listen. And I go, oh shit, here we go. Here we go. He's like, Xavier, you can't say no to this, right? And I stood there like dumbfounded, like, I can't. And he's like, no, you don't say no to the Don. You don't say no. You don't say no to this one. And he went on to explain why and how come. So he pulled me out of that like fear factor fright thing. Like I automatically went to like, is he crazy? I mean, I just do this because I have fun at it. I don't want to be in any kind of blah, blah, and all of those things that went through my head. And he was like, first of all, it's an honor. You have to be asked. Right. It's not like you can be the baddest dude out there on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or whatever it is, but until you get like that kind of invite from a cat like that. And I'm not saying that I'm the be all end all of anything. I'm just saying I'm blessed. I was blessed enough to strike some sort of chord with this guy where he was just like, yeah, you need to be a part of this. And then as I started seeing the roster of who was being actually invited to this, because I was like one of the first ones, he told me, he's like, this is where it's going. It's called Passion Built. It's guys who have, day gigs essentially and don't do this for a living, but still nonetheless attack it with everything they have. And when I started seeing like the guys who were being added to this thing, I was like, oh man, like this is real now.
Yeah,
this is not
some of those guys, man. Like I look at that list and I'm like, you really do this, and you might not get paid from it, but you really do this.
Yes,
Yeah. What about Skeeter Todd?
Right. That exactly. Exactly.
Skeeter Todd and some of those cats. Like, oh, okay, so I have to stop and tell myself, okay, there's something that he digs, and leave it at that. Just leave it at that. I went through the whole gamut, like the first 30 days of it, Ken, just like, freaking out like that guy in the corner, like with the pillow going, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I to the exact opposite of like, yeah, I'm a bad dude, bro. And then somehow between all of that to this very second where I'm sitting in my garage looking at my build, I'm in the middle. I'm grateful to be even asked, and then I'm super honored to be in a group of guys that somehow all share the same thing that Michael has handpicked. Chris, myself, Skeeter, and all these other cats. Like, just wow, So at the end of the day, I think that there's a part of me because we all want to do the best we can, and we all want to have people look at it and go, right on, that's really bitchin', et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But, I kind of look at it like the music thing, man. I never wanted to be the drummer, be all end all drummer. I just wanted to provide a foundation for people to dance and have a good time. And it's kind of like that with this. I'm just going to do what I can with what I know. And to me, I've already, we've all of us have already won because we've been asked,
Yeah.
For sure.
One of the things I dig about how you build your motorcycles, and you just said, I do what I know. You even go beyond that. You're not shy about what you don't know, and you embrace the time that you get to garner that knowledge from others who have done it. And you're very about that, and I love that. And over the course of the last couple bikes that you've built, you've been like, hey, I don't know how to do this, but I'm going to learn. You're going to learn with me. We should all learn. And I really dig that about your builds.
And I mean, again, to kind of like parallel it with the music stuff, I never took any lessons in my life. I was that stupid young kid who was like, I don't care about reading music in this grip and that style and blah, blah, blah. I was like, I want to play Highway to Hell right now, and that's kind of how I did it. And I just jumped in, and it was the same way with this, man. And I don't have any problem going to the cats that that have done it and then know it, because I did the same thing with drumming. I was that kid who was like, hey, Steve Riley from LA Guns, how do you do? And he was like, well, kid, what you do is takes a drag of his cigarette, drinks his Corona, and goes, no, you got it all wrong, son. You got it all wrong. So it's that way. And again, I've been really fortunate, man, that I have an awesome set of friends and brothers and builders in my phone contact that I can call them up and go, hey man, I have no idea, but I just did this, and what do I do now? Oh, bro, yeah, dude, you know how many times I've done that, and I did this, and here's what you do. And that's what's cool. And there are some of them out there who have not been so gracious, and you learn how not to be, because there is no way in hell that I could sit here and think that I'm something that I'm not. I am exactly what I am, but I want to be better. And the only way to be better is to shut your mouth, open your ears, and ask questions.
Amen.
Sure.
And
I think it's super brave of you to do a 30-inch front wheel bagger with a knucklehead engine. I think that's amazing. That's
with flamethrowers and a system with an espresso in the bag.
What about the stereo?
Hey, wait. Keith,
Stereo.
Hey, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Keith Nelson is not allowed to help you build this motorcycle. Because I know, as soon as you said the espresso maker, I knew his hand was in there.
Oh, dude, I will figure out how to put a Pasquini machine on this thing so fast it'll make your heart skip.
Yeah, baby.
You know, because hey, at least if I don't look cool and people don't goo and gaw over my motorcycle, I'm making some bitchin' espresso, yo.
That's right. Well, like I said, very brave, Xavier.
Yes, very brave.
So David Morrill said he's seen the back of your red helmet on the track, and he's learned a lot from watching you ride the track and the Sons of Speed. Tom Kiefer says, what an honor, and dreams do come true.
Oh, my God.
Moose says, what's up? And you get a lot of congratulations on here.
That's awesome. You know, all those guys, everything. You know, Tom was amazing because one year he was the guy who literally showed up at the shop
just showed up. Yeah,
just showed up like, hey, what's up? I'm here. And I didn't know him from Adam, man, but Billy knew him. So, and the guy knows a lot of stuff, man. Yeah. He knows a lot of stuff, and he so quickly jumped into like literally being my crew chief pet like guy because I'd never ridden a 1913 Perry Mac. I didn't even know what it was. Billy was like, jump on it and go. And I'm like, okay, you know, and here comes Tom and he's like, oh yeah, but we need to do this. We need to do that. And I'm like, and I literally, one of those things is I stepped back and I watched that guy do what he does. And I learned so much from him. And he was so kind and he was just so bitching, man. And we were up at the top wall and he puts his hand on my shoulder and he says, have a good time, be safe, and remember, it's all about having a good time. And I will never forget that. And he pushed me off. And then like a year later, Homeboy shows up with this amazing motorcycle that was so beautiful. And he built it.
Yep.
Yeah.
He built it. He tuned it.
We might get to feature it.
I hope so because it was awesome, and like that's what I'm talking about. You meet guys like that, and it's forever, man. It's forever. And some of the other guys, you're just kind of like, it's cool. I'm gonna go ahead and stay away from that entity over there. It's all good, you know.
So Tom wanted to let the world know that he has ran his fingers through your beard in a man way. He's just throwing that out there for you.
Hey, Tom, listen, buddy. Don't believe what they tell you about if you don't push back, because there's no way to run your fingers through another man's beard in a man way. Sorry.
And see, here's a prime example. We could be on this thing live out, and we're talking about that, and we're laughing, we're having a good time. And dude, I mean, come on, that's what it's all about, you know.
He's actually currently working on a 47 WL for the Sturgis Sons of Speed, so I'm excited to see that too.
Yeah, and here's the deal with that guy. He will burn the midnight oil till it's done, you know. And here's the coolest thing. Tom shows up with not only this amazing, beautiful machine that he built, and he's ready to race. He's scared a little. It's healthy. We're talking about it. I'm like, dude, just, again, have a good time, just like you told me, but be careful, you know. And Homeboy whips out this contraption starter thing because, you know, all those bikes you either have to drop in or they have to be push started, and hopefully they're tuned properly. Well, they will kick over, and you're off on your own.
Yeah.
Well, Tom pulls out like this NASCAR thing that he made with a Harley starter and a rubber wheel and a drop thing and a battery, and I was like, for real, bro? And he goes, watch. He goes, watch, and he drops the hammer and he hits the starter button and it goes, and the bike goes, and I was like, wow. I to myself, I said, you have just upped the ante to what everybody will bring the next year. You know?
Yeah.
Well, but, dude, the greatest thing is I bet you everybody on the track looked over and went, bastard.
Yeah, no, everybody did. Everybody was like, what a jerk, you know?
Oh,
but he, you know, he brought the heat, man, and he did it correctly, you know, which was awesome. And, you know, to anybody who just said congrats, you know, the congrats is like to all of us, man, because if we didn't have this thing that we love, which hopefully will continue to grow with, the next up and coming generations, like everything else does, then it's another art form that we love that's going to die out. And as long as we keep just pushing forward and have some sort of sense of like, brothership and camaraderie and like really mean it, it'll live forever, man. And that's the coolest thing, like when this bike gets picked up and it's gone and I actually get to breathe, and the next time I see it is going to be at the exhibit with like, I don't even know how many is there now. There's like 28 or 29 guys.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
In the same building that I went the first time I ever went to Sturgis when I wasn't on tour, and got to see all of those awesome pictures of the guys that I looked up to, that I was like, and that are now, some of them, most of them are my friends. That right there, and somebody asked me about it not too long ago. I said that's about as up there as me getting nominated for a Grammy.
Oh, man. That's so cool.
That's what and not because I'm trying to like be boastful or egotistical or anything about the actual nomination, but that's how high I place this thing that I don't do for a living, that I spend my hard-earned money on because I love it.
Yeah.
And because I get to go and experience it with other dudes that do the same thing, and dudettes that love it, and we can all sit around and go, dude, your bike is stupid sick, and then that guy goes, no, but the way you did this, and and now you're constantly bouncing positivity and awesome vibes and ideas off of each other. How cool is that?
For sure.
It's like
so
a
what are you
gigantic
building?
jam. I am I'm building a rigid. It's a 58 frame around a 53 pan that I had Jeff Cochran at Speed King do his magic to the rear end. So it's got a hardtail version. I mean, it's rad, dude. It's so bitchin'. And then I've got a Baker 6-speed in it, but I went a little different. I'm not using the 6 and the 4 like I did on the last build, and like pretty much a lot of dudes are doing now. I'm doing a Softail case with a 6-speed direct drive 6-speed, and then a Tech Cycle belt drive on it, and just some cool stuff. And here's the other thing: being a guy like myself that is just now getting to this, and I don't have a garage full of like Bally power hammers and planishing hammers and all of this stuff. I have enough stuff to be dangerous. And I don't mean dangerous in competition. I mean dangerous like I could probably hurt myself if I'm not really careful. Which again, going back to these things, like when I was blessed enough to be passed down a lathe, one of the first things that the guy said, and everybody else was like, keep your jewelry off, pull your hair back, no long sleeves. He goes, because trust me, this thing will rip your finger off. And I was like, and I didn't really pay attention until the first time I saw what it could do, and I was like, oh, So I don't have all that stuff like some people do, and that's okay. But what I do have is I have a really tight collection of friends that are cool enough to help me on things that I don't know how to do yet. I don't know how to manipulate metal in the way that I see it in my mind. So I ask other guys, hey man, can you help me out with something like this? And there you go. And Bill Dodge is helping me with a tank. And then, Brian Butera is helping me with a set of bars that I wanted a certain look, and all that stuff, man, and that's another cool element, is that nobody's too cool or too hip to help people out.
Yeah.
And it's bitching until I get to the point, which hopefully I will one day, where all that other stuff I can do by myself. But for right now, I utilize the friendships that I have because, one, I admire their work incredibly. And if somebody said, oh, well, you didn't make your tank. No, I didn't, because that dude over there can make it 1 billion times better. And until I can get an eighth of what he can, I'm not even going to try, So, it's just kind of me knowing where to use what I have, And again, if I asked somebody and they said no, I would respect that just as equally as when I say, hey man, I really love this. Can you help me out with something like this and make it look like that? And da-da-da. Oh yeah, bro, no problem. You know, I mean, come on, you know, you know, that's a really cool thing to be able to like, to sport somebody's creation that they made for you, that you had an idea that you kind of said, you know, this is what I want. This is what I like. Can you do this? Absolutely. Which I hope at some time somebody will come up to me and go, hey, X, I kind of want to do this. Oh yeah, dude. Well, if you do this, we can blah, blah, blah. And there you go.
So,
you know,
have a couple comments from Facebook. Brian Butera is actually watching and he says it's a badass bike. Trust him. So he's watching. Steve Broyles is here.
Oh, right on.
Oh.
He says great interviews. Gary Hahn, you guys interview the coolest cats, so you're one of the cool cats.
Awesome. Thank
Poppy,
you.
I'm gonna be seeing Poppy tomorrow night. I'm taking Fast Freddy's Sons of Speed bike up to him.
I really don't want to give that to him. It's beautiful.
I can't wait to give that bike to him because right now, in an undisclosed location near my house, there's probably $150,000 motorcycles
sitting in the back
my
of our
van.
truck.
Oh my God!
I can't wait to give it to someone else. It's been with me entirely too long.
Well, thanks, Brian and Steve. You know, Brian, I had the pleasure of Brian came over and we literally were sitting here and he showed me some things. So again, welding tips on aluminum, which I had never ever thought of doing, and a way to do it. And he's like that guy, man. He's the same guy. He doesn't have a whole buttload of equipment. I mean, he's got a lot of welding experience and he knows a lot of stuff, but he's a guy doing it on the budget that he has, and he's really good. So to have a compliment from a cat like that is pretty badass, man. You know.
Right on. Well, I'm super excited to see your build. Usually, I have some more sneak peeks than you've given us.
Yeah, and you know it's really funny.
Are you holding out because you know we just have a box of parts, or what?
Hey.
Well, let me comment on that. If there's one dude in this whole organization that can take on not one, not two, but three, and get them all done, it's your husband. And I'm not blowing smoke up his rear end.
Do not encourage him. Do not encourage him. What are you doing?
Well, he's right, but
he's going to take on another one.
No. No.
I don't know about that one, and I don't have anything to do with that one. But if you need my help, I'm flying up.
But did he tell you about the trifecta?
Yes. Yes.
Crazy. We're just gonna put under. He does this segment. I don't know how often you watch us. Of batshit crazy news. We're just gonna put Chris under that header every week.
Absolutely.
Batshit crazy news.
Absolutely. You know, I purposely haven't been. And here's why. Because I'm about to tell on myself. I have this horrible thing about going on Instagram and seeing what everybody else is doing.
Well, yeah.
And freaking out about it because one guy has got his frame back from paint. He's like, oh, I'm going to start fine assembly. And I'm like, oh my God. And then I look at another guy and he's just barely making his frame on a jig. So I'm kind of like somewhere in the middle because although I think I'm way behind, I'm a lot further than what I think, but I know what happens. It's just like watching all those build-offs, you know, like when, you know, Billy was like, oh, this is the first time I've never been under pressure and blah, blah, blah. And then what happened? Bam! You know, so I don't want to jinx it for one, and for two, I don't really want to put too much of it out there. I mean, people know that I'm doing it and that's cool.
Good for you.
And I just put little snippets and clippets of it, not because I'm trying to be like secretive or ooh, I'm surprising everybody. It's not that. It's just like for far too long, everything that I've done has been out in the world, whether I wanted it to be or not. And now I have the control to go, okay, I'm going to put this out there and I'm going to put that out there. And that's about it. And for me, that's good enough. I'm not trying to go, hey, look at me. I'm a badass. I'm ahead of you or I'm behind you or anything like that, because the truth will all be revealed in Sturgis. And to me, it's kind of like looking at it like a rock concert. You know, when that opening music comes on and you see the lights go down, that's the moment. And that's like what this whole thing is to me. It's that moment that I think we're all building up to. And I'm just kind of keeping it to myself. I do what I think needs to be out there, and that's it. Because I'm not trying to impress anybody. And I think a lot of times a lot of dudes get out there to impress people, and I don't feel the need to, because again, I'm my own worst critic. I don't need you to tell me. I'm good at that. You know what I'm saying? So, it's like the thing with the lower leg. It's like Chris was the one, man. He's like, invest in yourself. Why pay when you can do it and learn another skill set? And I was like, you know what, dude? You're totally right. So do I have the money to go dump and do this? Absolutely not. But I did it, and I learned how to do that stuff, which to other builders out there, like, oh yeah, dude, I've been doing that since like 1981. Well, that's great, dude. So, but I haven't.
Ken, what he's talking about is polishing. He was talking about getting stuff out to his polisher, and I was like, what do you mean polisher? And I said, dude, like for a couple $100 you can put together a polishing kit from Eastwood and go to town, then you can always polish stuff. So his columnist, when he talks about it, he gets through the first couple of things and he's like, oh, Xavier, what have you done?
Yeah, because in theory, when somebody's that, you're like, yeah, man, I can polish my own stuff and blah, blah, blah. And of course, when Bryan was here, to touch back up on that, he was like, dude, I do all of my own polishing and my own all. And I'm like, oh, okay, well then again, it's one of those things. If that guy can do it, then I can do it. Yeah. I just have to have the willingness, and I have to want to get dirty. And that's the thing with me, is that for far too long, it was easier to pay for something because I didn't want to learn and I didn't want to do it. Well, now it's the exact opposite. I want to learn. So I went out and bought that Eastwood kit, like Chris said, and I set it up in my place. And I made the biggest, horrendous, grossest mess. Oh my God! And then realized that everything isn't about the actual polishing. It's everything you do that actually leads up to that polishing. And preparation, man. And by the time I finished, guys, I got in the shower. My beard was literally. was literally compound, and it had so much wax buildup in it that it had kneaded itself into like dreads, and I looked like that guy from Pirates of the Caribbean with the octopus. It was
he's not afraid of my loins.
No, exactly. It was so bad. But then when I got up the next morning and the sun came up, and there was black stuff and polishing wheel remnants, the fabric everywhere. I had to literally pull everything out of the garage and clean and sweep and make like a little makeshift plastic cover area so that it was gnarly, dude. But I took the polishing piece and I took it out in the sun and I looked at it and I was like, right the F on, right on, Nice. And I was like, okay, here we go. So if that can be polished, so can some other things, And it's funny when I put that out there, like Roadside Marty and a bunch of other people are like, oh, dude, we're sending you our stuff. And I was like, bring it. Bring it.
Listen, speaking of that real quick, as a group, we all need to give congratulations because I believe this weekend coming up, Roadside Marty's wedding.
Getting married.
Oh,
yes,
that's
sir.
right.
What?
Yes, sir. Congratulations to him and his beautiful girl, and we're sending all our love to you, brother.
Right on. I love it. So yeah, man.
It's good stuff.
It is. It's good stuff.
I know there's going to definitely be one person that's going to be super excited about you keeping it quiet, which is Michael Lichter. He always loves to have bikes that people have never seen before debut there. So the fun part is going to be doing the photo shoot with him. He's going to make you do all sorts of goofy things. You can say no to some of them. Like when he asks you to pose a certain way, you can be like, nah, that's not really me. Just remember that, Xavier.
Well,
because I've got some pictures of me with my motorcycle that are super questionable. They should be on for sure. Because they are not good.
I like to think that over the course of like 13 some odd years that I've been photographed on stage and in some really, really questionable positions myself, either on or off stage. So You know, and I kind of let it roll off of my duck's feathers, but I'll keep that in mind, Ken, because if he makes me want to hump my rear tire, then yeah, no, I'm gonna have to say
no. I'll text you a picture of one of the pictures that's up on my wall.
I want to see
French
that
magazine.
Yeah.
Hey, listen.
I need to see that.
The greatest thing, though, seriously, was at the beginning of this conversation, Xavier talked about Michael Lichter. Like, Xavier had us up one of the last times he did a gig at the Buffalo Chip, and Michael was backstage with us, and he pulled Michael Lichter back behind the drum riser and said, man, shoot from here. And when Michael came off of that stage, he was just like,
he was like a little kid.
Oh my God, it's so beautiful to watch him play.
Well, because he asked me earlier, he was like, hey X, do you think it's cool if I shoot some pictures? And I said, dude, yeah, you're Michael Lichter. That's like having Niels Lozauer ask if you take your pictures. And by the way, Niels Lozauer is a very famous rock and roll photographer. Anyways, he's like, well, give me a pit pass and I'll shoot the first 3 songs, because that's usually the way it goes in the pit. And I go, oh, no. You're going to sit right behind me, and
baby.
you can go over here by Keith. You can get all up in Keith's area. You can get all up in Stevie and Kelly's area. Just make sure you stay out of Josh's way, because chances are he will run you over, because that's what he does, you know. And I said, but as far as me, you can stand on my riser. You can stand behind me. You can sit next to me. You can do whatever you want. And he looked at me like I looked at him when he asked me if I would be in his exhibit. Now that I think about it, that's the exact same look, bro. The exact same look. Like, really? And I have some awesome pictures that he took that night that I have, you know, blown up that are like they're memorable keepsakes, man. Because, you know, having the accolades that I have, being in that band for so long, and that's one of them. I got shot by Michael Lichter on stage at Sturgis,
at the biggest stage in Sturgis. That's badass.
behind my drum set. You know, that's huge, awesome. Man.
Nope.
That's a huge honor. So yeah, we'll see what he does. If he hears this, or maybe somebody's going to tell him, hey, yeah, I heard Ken.
He does. He listens to every episode, and it's. I want to qualify this. It's not a bad photo. It's a very good quality photo.
However,
just a little weird. We're just gonna. I'll just leave it at that. Anyway, thanks for being on with us, X.
Of course.
Always great to talk to you. As always,
it's my pleasure.
Make sure I text you that picture so you can laugh.
Make sure you forward it to me.
Please do.
And
please do.
I guess probably the next time I'll see you is up in Sturgis. So
absolutely, see you here in a little over probably 6 weeks, or 8 weeks actually. And to the Callens, thank you
yes, sir.
for inviting me on, and for just being rad people.
Rad.
You know, and for always, you know, I got a sneak peek at Chris's latest column. And again, even though we're on Facebook and all that stuff, I have no need to blow sunshine up anybody's rear end, because that's not how we work. And the one thing I can say is that he and Heather and the organization keep it truth, and they keep it real. And if that's what it takes to keep this thing going, so it doesn't die out, then I'm all about it, man.
Right
and
on.
I'm so honored and so proud to be involved in any way, shape, or form, whether, you know, with the magazine, with the Lichter build, and with just being in you guys' phone contact list. That is such an honor.
You humble us, sir. You humble us.
Well, I think, you know, humility back and forth is a beautiful thing. I think it's a beautiful thing. So, you know, thank you guys for having me on, and for just having this cool thing. And anybody who's listening or whatever, thanks, man. We'll see you in Sturgis. Come out. You will not be disappointed. I promise you, you know. So.
Right on. All right, baby.
Man.
We'll catch you again soon.
All right, guys. Be well. Take care.
Later, bye.
All right. That was a great interview.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Really was. That was good.
Yes, sir. You know, that's man.
It's always great to have people who can talk on.
Yeah.
I need to answer a question. Rich from Petoniac Cycles. No, unfortunately, Xavier is not going to be with us in Laconia. He's a little too tied up with some projects he's got going on right now, but he will be in Sturgis.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. Yeah, he's gonna be racing Sons of Speed. He's gonna have his bike up there. It'll be good.
Was that? I thought you said questions like plural.
There's a lot of statements, and they're all very humbling, and I will pass them on to both you and Ken. Brenda and Jack DeGazio, great show, guys.
Right
Tom Kiefer, all your shows have been great. This show has been awesome. You guys rock. David Morrill, great interview. So thank you all so much. We truly appreciate
We're really
the
working
support.
hard at figuring this stuff out, man. So your comments mean an awful lot to us.
Yeah, it is a labor of love. When Chris and I are like punching ourselves in the head, we're going, oh, we're 10 minutes late. You know, we should have had this, blah, 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 whatever. You know, the 50 things that we wanted to get done or whatever that didn't get done. It's nice to hear that people appreciate it for sure.
Right on.
So go and share it.
Yes, there you go.
Share it on your page, please.
So, Tom, real quick, Missy says you can see those pictures that Michael took on lichterphoto.com.
There you go. Real quick, let's buzz through some of the last of the news. Win a trip to the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. Talking about our friends at the Iron Horse Saloon this year. 2018 trip giveaway. Prize package includes cabin for two. They have now, if you guys didn't know about this, the Iron Horse has what used to be the old Full Throttle property. They've bought that, and they're making it into their accessory campground for the Iron Horse and Broken Spoke location in town on Wazelle. Now out the road is their campground. Yeah, so you get two.
And then the Full Throttle is where the Broken Spoke used to be.
Yes.
This
so
is way
it's moving around. It's like a shell game, Ken. Where's the P?
Anyway, so from our friends at the Iron Horse, the package includes a private cabin for two or RV campsite, Chrome Club passes, daily breakfast, free beer, and 2 commemorative mugs, a $100 gas card, some banners.
Are they trying to kill somebody?
Right.
It's
but those are our friends at the Iron Horse. That's actually our home base for the week of Sturgis. We do Grease and Gears Garage there every day. We do our bike show, our ride, and a bunch of other stuff. Totally went brain dead. I just went dirt.
There's talk that we will be doing the first Sturgis celebrity mini bike race in the compound of the Iron Horse and Broken Spoke. So
Tom Kiefer, bring your mini bikes there too, because we already signed you up.
What's up, Tom?
Nice. That's
All
cool.
right. Moving on, the Greasy Dozen Run, May 18th through the 20th, Columbus, Ohio. We've been supporting this thing for a number of years, getting ready to kick off. These guys have a blast. Everything that you see that goes on looks like an absolute blast.
So tell them about the Greasy Dozen. It's really cool. Bear from the old bike barn does it, and he picks 13. It's a builder's dozen, baker's dozen, builder's dozen, garage builders, and they all put together a bitchin' motorcycle for this event. There's no prizes or anything like that, but companies,
there's no places, there's no
companies throughout the industry all sign on to support these garage builders in one way, shape, or form, whether it be Lowbrow or Builtwell, JP Cycles. I know SNS has signed on and helped some of them out. So it's just a really cool garage build collaborative effort that all culminates on a camping weekend in Ohio. I believe it's free to attend. The party that goes down, it's a 2-day event, and it looks like an awesome
hell of a time.
Yeah.
So you can find out more about that at greasydozen.com.
Yes,
right on.
American Motorcyclist Association highlights May as Motorcycle Awareness Month. We mentioned this earlier in the program, but Pickering, Ohio, American Motorcycle Association issuing a special appeal to motorists to be especially aware of motorcycles during May. Pocket full of ball bearings will help too, but that's
or batteries.
That's a whole other conversation. That was back in the day talk. Huh? I love the fact that you don't even flinch anymore, Ken. So hard for me to get you to flinch.
Hey, I said batteries.
I know.
Batteries work too.
You didn't miss a bit. Running out of things, I think.
What about, did we have an Instagram post of the day?
Oh yeah, this is the best, dude. I got to bring this up to you. So check this out. I'm ordering parts for 3 bikes at one time, and I get this stuff from Old Stuff Cycle that make the cool oil lines that Jeff Cocker and some of the guys use on their shovelhead builds. And it comes today, and I got a free magazine with my parts.
Guess what magazine?
Cycle Source?
No.
It was the horse. So
Really?
I put it on Instagram just to bust
A
their balls.
2006 issue of the horse.
But listen, I put it up
Really?
there. I put it up there because when I ordered the parts, I just used my name and I didn't really think about it or anything. Like the irony of them sending that to me, though, it was funny. So
that is funny.
I'm gonna send them. Whose parts could I send them? I'll have to pack up some parts and send them. And I'll send
Like
a free
some
magazine.
parts?
Yeah.
In some of your magazines, and go, hey.
No, but it's cool. Listen, honestly though, like seriously, I hope people are out there doing that with leftover Cycle Source magazines too.
Oh
That's
yeah,
bitching.
sure.
That'd be awesome.
They deserve commendation.
Yeah, I just wonder how many bathrooms that one's been in.
See,
Ken.
and we touched that now.
See,
I do
But,
know
I mean, that's
Twisted
the
Chopper
reality.
sends out Cycle Source
Yeah, they
with
do.
their orders.
And I know Will does too. So
Yeah. Real quick, I do want to talk about, we talked about Laconia, we talked about Sturgis and Greasy Dozen. We skipped our next Grease and Gears garage stop, which is Ohio Bike Week. Thanks to Progressive Motorcycle, we get to go to Ohio for the first time.
and it is
quite a long
this
time.
summer and now the Progressive Grease and Gears Garage.
Yes.
Got a lot of cool segments lined up. We're building the Progressive bike. Got a lot of Ohio Midwest builders coming out to do their thing.
Hopefully finishing the T-Tracker.
We're also going to be doing a bike show on Saturday in front of the same stage. We're going to do right there a Cycle Source bike show to go along with the stuff that we're doing on stage. So go to the website, get some tickets, come check us out, hang out with us in Ohio Bike Week.
Yep, and the website is ohiobikeweek.com.
nice. I haven't spent a lot of time in Ohio recently. I used to all the time. I used to go to Sucker Punch, hang out with Donnie and Jeff and stuff. I like Ohio. It's nice. They've got cool amusement parks.
Hey, wait a minute though. Honestly,
Non sequitur.
Ken is starting to get to the part of the show where he gets tired. For a second there, he went to what's his name's character in Duplicity or Multiplicity.
Oh,
he was like, I like Ohio.
I like pizza.
I like pizza.
I didn't get any sleep last night.
I think it's almost time for us to bring this puppy to a close.
Oh,
wait,
it is.
wait a
time
minute,
to
wait a minute.
Pull it into the station.
Oh yeah, we can't forget Long John and Pinky.
Coming up this weekend, Choptown Camp Around. It is legendary.
It is legendary,
Beyond
and I'm very
legendary.
sad that again
Infamous.
we have to work and cannot be there.
Wow, that's kind of ending the show on a bummer.
No, it's awesome
It
because
is.
Long John and Pinky do this great, just old school camp bike party in Arizona, in a beautiful part of Arizona. They don't charge you anything to go, and it's just a good old time. Like, if you need amenities and crap, you're not going to find it. It's down and dirty camping. You sleep in the dirt, under the stars, there's bonfires, all that good stuff. Oh, although no bonfires this year. They are on a fire restriction.
Yeah.
But it's a good time. They do have a Facebook page, Choptown Campground. And again, if you go, please give Long John and Pinky our love.
Yeah. Right on.
So,
quick plugs.
Go ahead.
Forever Two Wheels podcast. All of these are found there. Also, you can go on eBay and find your Make Choppers Great Again shirt.
Yeah, and tell them the important thing
as well as your Forever Two Wheels shirt.
There you go.
There. What's the important thing about that? What?
About the hat on your head.
Oh, yeah.
There's your
That's right.
next plug.
Yeah. Aiden's ride. Sturgis.
So super cool. Did you see that Florida just signed on to do the testing?
Yeah.
So just signed on this week. I'm so proud of everything that foundation has done for those
Man,
for
and
children
seriously,
everywhere.
like there's new Aiden's rides popping up all over the country, and I know Elisa alone, her work has been tireless in this. So seeing her getting that kind of traction, man, from the state governments is killer.
It's pretty amazing. Real quick, I want to just mention, when you guys get the July issue of Cycle Source, which we just finished today, yay! Our sixth small feature, we call it the Working Man's feature.
Oh my God!
I want to make sure you all take the time. The name of the bike is Psycho Buzzard. I want you to make sure you take time to read the story. I'll tell you up front, it's really not about the motorcycle, it's about the man. But what a phenomenal story this is. So
once that comes out, we might even just bring the pages of that up here and talk about it, because it was wicked cool story.
Nice.
That's all I got.
I'm excited to see that.
I'm done with you all.
Well, we rocked this shit for
I'm done
2
with you
hours
too.
tonight. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a lot of time.
How did we do it?
This thing right here. A lot of talking.
Pie hole. Yep.
So on behalf of Ken and Heather, man, appreciate you guys watching us again, letting us come into your headspace for a little bit. Looks like we're going to come back, what'd you say, next Thursday at 9 o'clock Eastern again?
Thursday, yep.
We're going to try Thursdays for a while. We're going to stay on the late night hours. And, you know, a lot going on in motorcycling. The season is heating up. Remind yourself, be safe, look twice. That goes for people on 2 wheels as well as 4. Look twice. Don't believe that they see you. Take your time, be safe.
Agreed.
Raise hell, party naked.
No.
That all comes later.
If you have any cool stuff, send it in. We'll share it.
Oh, but there we go with another episode of Shop Talk in the books.
All right.
Thank you guys one more time. Till we come back to you next week, I'm Chris.
And I'm Ken.
And we're out. Damn it, this means I gotta make a new video.